welcome back to the Pop. I am your host, Moraya, creator and founder of Mastering Progress, and what else am I? I'm a mid 25-year-old going through a mid 25-year-old crisis. So, the usual. Nothing's changed. I do have some Chardonnay today because I needed it. There's some people doing high school stuff right now in my life that I'm just like, ew. We're not in high school, but we seem to think so and act like it. So I'm like, let me just sip my Chardonnay over here while you do your high school nonsense over in the corner. I'm going to be building my business and you can keep being immature. Cheers. Cheers. Okay, back to the Pop and our regularly scheduled programming. So, I am continuing the series about adoption and being an adoptee as it is National Adoption Month, and this episode is going to be more about the mental health and mentality of being an adoptee, which will lead into our big announcement next week. So I think that this is a very important episode, and kind of is what everything is building up to right now. And so I'm really excited to share it. As you can see, I did fix the height. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I did fix the height, so now it's just my head, which I prefer because it's like, why would you want to see my lower extremities? It's like, oh, weird. I don't know why we need to see down there. If I need to show you my outfit for the day, which I probably never will because I like to be comfy when I record, I will stand up and you can see the whole outfit, which will be very awkward, but it is what it is. So I will say I wanted to write stuff down and kind of not have a script for this episode, but have a few notes. And every time I wanted to go and write something down, I felt wrong because I felt like I was kind of just doing a disservice to this whole episode, because it really does come from the heart when I'm talking about this, and it really, you can't plan this stuff. I'm sorry. Like, if I planned it, it would be like very, I don't know, it wouldn't be natural, it wouldn't be what I wanted it to be. And so there may be, my frequent breaks of thinking about things. And I'm sorry, especially from the podcast side, if you're just listening, but if you're watching, you'll see that I'm really just thinking and be like, oh, she's fine. If I go radio silent, for the people who are listening, it's probably just me thinking. And here is my episode of playing with my hair and trying to figure out how I want to do this for this episode. It always ends up to be the same. So, I don't know why I keep trying to change it. It is what it is, dude. It is what it is. So far in this series, I've talked about a few of the key words when it comes to adoption, including my forever family, which was the second episode, and talking about, your biological parents versus your parents, and kind of the crossovers and the different mixes when it comes to being adopted, because there are so many different outcomes when one is adopted, and how, for me, my adoption was closed, my adoption was cut. They wanted to cut it off and move on. So they cut it off and moved on, and I'm here. Cut off 25 years later and doing better than ever, quite frankly. Honestly, really doing better than ever. And I think it took a lot, and what I want to dive into now is kind of the mental side of things as an adoptee. And of course, this is different for everyone who's gone through this experience, and It's different for the parents who have adopted a child. It's different for a lot of different factors. But I'm going to talk about my experience because I can't talk about uh, everyone else's experience. I don't know. I don't live their life. I can tell you how their experience made me feel, but I can't say what was actually going on because I don't know what was going on with everyone else in certain situations. So let's dive right in. So, as I said before, I was adopted at 6 months. I was in foster care from when I was born until those 6 months afterwards, and I was brought into my forever family. I was told that I was adopted. I was told that I was adopted pretty young. I don't think I ever remember a time when I didn't know I wasn't adopted. I think that it was important to my parents to not hide that part of my life from me, which very thankful for. I think it is always wise for parents to let their children know that they're adopted. Because if I didn't know, I think that would add on to all of my craziness and a lot of trauma down the road. So I was pretty young. Let's go with 5, because that's when you start, like, I don't know, you start knowing things about the world and thinking. I think that's 5. I know you definitely start thinking before then, but I think you start, like, actually understanding the world and different relationships and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe. I just always remember knowing I was adopted. There was never a time that I didn't know I wasn't adopted. And I think that was a smart decision for everyone involved. Now, although I knew I was adopted, I think the first time I actually went to, like, an adoption, like, event or interacted with other adoptees was when it had to be when I was like 12, because it was when I moved to Maryland, and I went to this day event for all these kids who were adopted. I low-key think it was a day camp for kids who were adopted who were troubled teens, because let me tell you, there was like 5 of us, okay? 5 of us. And we were in this, like, I think it was a synagogue. It could have been a church. It was some religious place in North Bethesda. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, this is some Twilight Zone nonsense, because when I tell you, these kids, I thought there were going to be more kids. I thought it was more interactive based off of what I was told. It was 5 of us in a room. They barely had any snacks, and we all know I love a good snack, especially because I get cranky. There were no snacks. Who puts a bunch of teenagers in a room with no snacks, no good drinks? That was my first wee woo. Do not have Moraya in a room without food or drinks, because she's gonna get cranky, and if she's cranky, everyone else is not gonna have a good time. So putting a girl with 5 other people who also seem to get cranky when they're hungry and dehydrated, it wasn't a great idea. I mean, I met these twins who were adopted from Russia, who definitely, I can tell you right now, whew, they were going through it. One of them more obvious than the other one, but it's always the ones who hide the fact that they're going through something that cause chaos in the end. Just saying. Y'all think I'm causing chaos now. It's once I start being quiet and not saying anything then you know I'm ready. I am planning, I am ready to go. But anyway, that's not the point of this. That is not the point. The point is, they had a bunch of adoptees in a room, in a very, and it wasn't even like welcoming. It was very like, ugh. Like, you gotta set the vibe for conversations that they were trying to have. Like, I think it was supposed to help me heal some parts that I think I've missed out on, or my parents that I missed out on. That did not help me heal. That made me realize that so many kids are going through it, and it's because I feel like they're not in environments with people who know how to interact with them, or know how they need to be supported during the time of learning about adoption, learning about, hey, you might never ever meet your parents, learning about how there are other people out there who are adopted. There are other people out there that's your family that you'll never ever meet. You have siblings out there that you'll never know are your siblings. That's hard. I will thoroughly say, knowing that there are people out there that have my genes, have my blood, have have genetic relations to me, and I may never meet them, is like, so, because I was raised with all these people, like my cousins and oh my gosh, I just realized my laundry's in the background, so if you heard that, I'm sorry. I know it'll probably cancel out on the microphone, but for my YouTube people, I'm sorry. But there's nothing I can do about it. Anywho, I grew up, like, my little brother knows his parents, grew up with his parents, can see where he got certain traits from, can see why he responds to things a certain way. He knows who his parents is and knows that, that's where he came from. My cousins all grew up with their parents and knowing where they came from and knowing about their ancestry and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here like, no matter how many times someone tells me that, you're Nigerian because your dad's Nigerian, I am not Nigerian. I am Guyanese. Both of my parents are from Guyana. Nigeria is over in Africa. Guyana is over in South America. Those are two very different things. Places in the earth. Honestly, it probably connected though in Pangea. But anywho, once again, another conversation for another time. It's hard, especially for a kid, especially for a teenager, when you're in that time of, I'm trying to figure out who I am. You're, goodness gracious. I hated being a teenager. All those hormones and feelings and, gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me take a sip of Chardonnay because, geez Louise. That messes up your head. Like, just think about it. The fact that I am related to at least 11 other people. That doesn't include my aunts and my uncles, my biological ones. I am related to 9 half-siblings and a mom and a dad. And I may never meet them. I mean, if they're watching this right now, cheers. But that is scary. There are 11 people I'm related to in this world that don't know, most of them probably don't even know I exist. And yet we share half the same DNA. And that I'm the only one with this certain DNA, even scarier. Like, I'm the only person with this genetic mix-up in this whole world, because all my half-siblings are all they're from different parents. So I'm here I have rare DNA. Would you look at that? It's like being a single child. Who would have thought? I wouldn't want to be a single child. Thank God for Gabriel, because that boy got me through some stuff. That's my best friend, my homie for life. He's gonna be so embarrassed I said that. Ooh, sorry, Gabe. But you're stuck with me. Anywho, just thinking about that, like, I'm obviously still not over it, and I'm 25, and I found out 5 years ago that I'm half related to 9 other people who were born already before me, obviously. I don't know if I have siblings after that. I don't know if, they might have had other children, so maybe I'm not the only one who has. I would hope they don't have other children after that, because, that's kind of sad. That's really, you ruined your marriage. I mean, you ruined your marriage by having me, but your marriage is plural. Yikes. But, like, also that. Like, having that on my mind, knowing that they were both married, my mother and father cheated, it's a two-way street. I keep saying it's my mom who cheated, but they both cheated, okay? Mind you, they had, in total, 9 kids who were in their formative years, growing up, and you're gonna do that to them? Like, some of my siblings were old enough to understand that my mother had a child, and then all of a sudden the child was gone after she gave birth to, like, they never met me. That's crazy. Like, your mom's pregnant, and then the baby's just not there. Like, what stories was she telling them? Like, what did she tell them happened? That scares me. That's stuff I'm thinking about all the time. Like, was she honest? Obviously, she wasn't honest in the fact that she was cheating all the time. She obviously wasn't honest with herself, because if she didn't want that husband, she wouldn't have been with him. And my dad, if he didn't want that wife, he wouldn't. They weren't being honest with themselves. They weren't being honest with their partners. They weren't being honest with their kids. I don't know if the kids knew about me. My father's kids most definitely didn't know about me. I can't think of that being an option for him to tell them, or even, I don't even know if his wife knew. Like, this is crazy stuff. And then if I try to come back and find them and just learn more about my, like, medical history and stuff like that, what if I ruined someone else's life because I'm nosy? And that's not even being nosy. That's that's knowledge, and knowledge is power. And the fact that I don't have this knowledge is scaring me and making me powerless. And so, this is, like I said, this is more of the mental side for me, and understanding kind of what I'm thinking about all the time, and what goes through my head as an adoptee. And then there's, like, my lovely, lovely family that, everyone needs therapy. I will say that. But that was hard. One, because I don't think they were trained on how to go about certain conversations with their adopted child. And I already have my own mental issues, and I already have, I was already going through a lot at the time. And so for both of us, it was kind of tumultuous when it came to talking about being adopted. When my father found out that I had reached out to get my non-identifying information in regards to my biological parents, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. Literally. It was like the grains of the acid was falling from the sky because I wanted to know more about my biological. But it was like I had done something terrible, and all of a sudden, and that was the worst thing I'd done in my life. Let me tell you right now, I have done worse things in my life than ask about and get the information about my biological parents. I mean, Lord help me now. I've moved on to better things, but I had done worse. So the fact that he had responded like that to me wanting to know more about my future was a bit much for me. But once again, like, it's not completely his fault because it wasn't like it was taught about or they had or used resources to learn more about that tough conversation and learn more about how to kind of go through that process, especially because yeah, you told me when I was younger and I knew this, and I'm so thankful for that. But you have to expect that as I get older and learn more about how families relate and watch other families grow and watch our own family grow and how you're, interacting with your own son, I'm going to want more. I'm going to want more knowledge. I want to understand more. It's not that you weren't enough, because you were more than enough. It was that I needed to understand what happens, because at the end of the day, that's how I was brought into this world. At the end of the day, that was my first 6 months of life. That is part of who I am, and I needed to know more. I wanted to know more, and I went out to know more. And now I'm knowing more, and stuff is making, more sense, and I think I'm starting to get ready to know a little bit more. I am scared, definitely, but I'm ready. And that next step and kind of this mental health journey that I'm going on and trying to understand my thoughts and my feelings growing up is what's leading to this next big jump for me in my life, and why it's so important for me, and why I can't wait to announce what's happening next week. And going into year 2024, really knowing what I want and how this experience is going to help me change other people's lives is amazing. And so I think I talked for 23 minutes, so I think I'm going to end it there. As I said before, like, this is my experience, and these were my thoughts and kind of my mentality growing up and now, and after I've learned a few more pieces of information about where I came from. And so it's not everyone's. It is certainly not everyone's. It is not, the norm. I think there are pieces in there that are definitely the norm, but it's not the norm. And each person has a different experience, and I think it's very important to know that. And I obviously would love to hear other people's experiences and how they've thought and gotten through these, important pieces of their lives. And I definitely want to have more conversations with people about it. And yeah, that's kind of it for me right now. Next week I will be making the announcement, and kind of just closing out this month for National Adoption Month, and going from there. So I hope you all have a great week. I hope, we achieve everything we want to, and you are disciplined enough to go after it. And there it goes. There's my alarm. I gotta go, and I will talk to you guys next week. Adios.